Okay, so the next part is we're going to put this windshield wiper kit in. So the motor is going to be mounted in here for the windshield before we get the windshield in. So we're going to have to remove this window, start popping stuff up, getting access to under here, because we also have to put the fluid kit for washing the window down under there as well. So looks like from what we see here, to get access in there, we're going to have to also get a chance to remove the shock as well. I know it says to remove both. We might get away with just removing the one. We're going to find that out real soon. All right, now we got to take this seat out here because we are going to have to get to the electrical as well up there. So to get the wiper motor kit in there. And then you do the 2 bolts at the back, down to the back. You gotta do one there, and just one across on the other side. And then there's a nut and bolt on the front seat, holding the front seat in right here. So the seat's pretty easy to remove here. You know, you just got a 1/2 inch on the back of the nut, 13 mil in the front. There's a set here, a set here. On the back, we just remove the 2 nuts on the back, and we're going to lift the seat, tilt it up, pop off on the side. The easiest way to get the seat belt off. Free that, and then we're going to take the seat right out of here. Okay, so now that I got the fronts and backs out, I just release the bottom of the seat belt now while you can get at it easier. So pretty easy one to get off. You just undo that bolt, and what I do is when I pull the seat belt strap out of there, after I just put the bolt back in. So here's the strap, it kind of goes through the seat. So we'll just pull that off, put that back. Same with the nuts and bolts for the seats, I just put them back in there, so that way you know where they are when you go back to put the seat in. So there's the view with the seat out. As you see, you got your battery access and main power there, and then most of it reaches through. We're going to take this panel off, or you can hit the accessories and all that for wiring up all your accessories and that. That's where you tap into, and the wires go through that panel all the way up through the front. So yeah, like I said, I'll just nut and bolt and put them back. So these are the seat adjustments everybody talks about. You go 2 inches up or down. So there's the bottom set, there's the top set. Top set is pretty much where most people are at. And then these spacers here allow you to drop down as well. If you want to drop your seat down, you take these out, sink down there too. So we'll just leave these there so we know where they are. All right, let's keep it going. So this part here is like the same with these blue clips. You just pull this panel off, bend it out to the side of it, and pull it backwards, and the last clip just lets it out. Same with this one here, it's just all clipped in as well. All right, pretty easy to pop them out. Well, that one wasn't supposed to come out quite like that, but then you can see everything pretty much there. So nice rat's nest of fun going on there. Okay, so I just took this little cover panel off here. We're gonna have to do a little modifying for the windshield wiper in a bit. Just got some fuse panels and brake fluid chambers there, so we're gonna have to pop a bunch of these up, get a bunch of these screws off to be able to lift this all up to get the motor up on inside there and installed. So it's going to be a bit of a tedious job. This part is probably one of the more tedious parts of doing a track system, but we won't be able to see anything if we don't get this windshield wiper on. We'll just be driving through a white cloud of snow, which is kind of cool, but it will fill up this cap so quick. So before we get going any further here, because I kind of went further and ran ahead of everybody here, so we got the clip off. That was the first thing we did. Just gonna go through all the, like, it's so much easier to go off this video, I would think, than the instructions are just pretty darn horrible. So all the wires come up through here, all your stuff to the front, through like a big rubber grommet. So I snipped open that up right away and snip the zip tie off. That way I'm able to feed my cable through to the front. That's for the washer fluid bottle that's still not in there yet. They kind of called to do that a bit earlier. I want to do that last. I had kind of had my broomstick across this panel and this panel just to wedge it up so I can reach under there and get to everything, because they call for taking off these guys. I find if you just have this up high enough and yeah, you drill out that little middle rivet there that it says to down there. You do that and then you can lean it back or just take the whole thing off, leave them on, push it back. It's just less work. I didn't really see why it was super necessary, but they made a new bracket there to hold these guys to help out with the wiper motor behind here, give it more room. Well, I'll tell you, they're leaning on each other. There is no room. It's still far from perfect setup that they did. But it looks like it's going to work. So what I did, clip went off. I didn't remove the shock yet and all that kind of stuff. So I went this way. I took the clip off, disengaged the battery. Then I got my wiring harness all set up here. So, you know, zip tied some of this other crazy work, not done by me, kind of zip tied it together a bit. And then got my electrics plugged in there. So that's pretty easy. Pretty simple. Red on the bottom of the three. See these three guys? 1, 2, 3. Black at the top. Put your red and black wire down at the bottom. Just so that everything's set up properly. This cap goes on there, and then the harness goes down here. But you have these sides off, and on a typical X3, they don't have this stereo unit here. So you just remove this cap and you'd be able to access everything back there. It would actually make for a lot easier of a job. But in my case, I had to feed things up under the stereo, into the front. And then what I found is when you went to the other side, you can reach everything a little better from back of the stereo. So I got the one wired up front. The other one I pulled over up here, got my switch in, so that's powered up. And then my light, LED light that was there, I'm now rerouted to the far side, which is actually where I want it, beside the headlights anyways. So I'm happy with that. One thing they don't really say when you take all this apart is it's a flex to do it, but if you hold this up, get this out, and then flip this over top, now this whole piece lifts up way nicer. It's way easier to work under there. It's this little screw that was holding it in. So if you pop that out, flex this over here and pop this out, get it out, you have way more room to work. So that was huge. These doors are killing me. This door, for the life of me, just swings back on me no matter what. It drives me nuts. And it's a squeaker. So what I found too is with the wiper motor, I didn't get the templates I was supposed to get, but to mount. So I got lucky. I hit the holes right the first time. Then on here, what I found is you kind of want the wiper motor almost full forward, so that you know, the nut on the other side with the washer on the other side is furthest back into the stem towards the motor, which pulls the motor forward, leaving enough room for these guys here to not get bound up on the motor. See, right about there. So if the motor's back, it makes it really hard to get this these brake fluid cylinders back where they're supposed to go. So that's there. Now I'm going to test it. I'm going to power up. I'll just put a little mark on here just to see where this is going, and figure out where I'm going to put the wiper on later. If I need to, I could do that later actually. I just want to power it up though, make sure it actually turns on and all that. So that'll be one very important thing. And if that's working, then I mean the harness should be working for the power supply for the washer fluid bottle, which is right there. So we're coming along. Then what my plan is once that's all done, I know the power works, I know the wiper's going to work. I got the switches in. I can pretty much close up everything inside. Now I'm down to finish off this whole track install. Now I just have to slip that water bottle inside. plug in the fluid connector, plug in the power, and it should be good. Trick is getting the bottle in there. It says take off this shock and loosen the top of this one. I just don't get it. Maybe to get it so it's easier to get your hands in there. I might try a different way. Who knows? We'll find out. I was maybe thinking just popping these 4 bolts off, swinging that back, whoosh, putting it in through there. We'll find. We'll see. It looks like a bit of a challenge to get it in there. Not so much a challenge, but it's not going to happen in 2 seconds, kind of thing. But we'll see what happens there. And then once that's in, then it's a matter of putting all the front clips back in, getting your screws back in where they belong, put the back seat back in. So that's how I did it. Like, the instructions kind of get you to tackle the whole thing at one time. So here you got your side by side up on jacks with shocks hanging around. Now you can't really exactly climb in and do everything when everything's becoming undone everywhere. I just find it was a little bit much. So I tackled the harness, the power, the harness, getting the harnesses to where they needed to go, and then from there getting this dash all off nice, and tackling the brake fluid cylinders with the wiper motor getting put in. Wiper motor is just held in by the nut and washer setup. There's one set like this on the front. You can see there's a rubber grommet behind there, and one on the back side. So like I said, the back side one goes all the way back. This one squashes it. This one just spins on the cover a bit. There's your nut for the actual wiper that will sit there. And then these two guys, there's 2 clips that go on a bracket in there, and you just line them up and go through, and that's it. I mean, it is sturdy as heck in there, that's for sure. But we shall see the final product. Okay, so just to go over the to get the seat out, we got a 1/2 inch with a 13 mil on both sides. I just leave the bolts and nuts there so we can put them back in and know where the parts are. And then over here on the seats, we used a 18 on the seats, and then for the seat belt bolt was just a 16 that goes into the side of the seat on the base there, so that takes care of your seat. The rest of this job, super majority of it was all a T20 or a T30 for almost everything. And then I always use, like I said, it's the big lifesaver here for many things. I use this for popping all my plastic plugs and whatnot. Other than that, you had to drill a couple holes here, 3/4 inch hole, 1/4 hole. Not much drilling actually to do all of this. It's pretty simple. I drilled out the one rivet, like I said, on the brake side. I just use a tech screw to put it back in. I don't see why you got to use a rivet for that. Then also said to drill out 2 rivets down there and there. Haven't done those yet, but those got to be done to get your there's one here opposite on the other side. Those got to be done. You know, use a 3/16 13/64 drill bit, drill them out so you can put the new rivets in, or however you're going to do it, whatever you choose. That is for the water housing there, for the washer fluid. It sits there and pins there, and on the other side, that's all it holds that. The rest, yeah, it's just a matter of taking the dash bolts off. Pretty simple, just take this side off, take that side off, and like I say, I wedged a broomstick through here down to there just to kind of hold all these panels up so I can work underneath them. Really, I can't think of anything else I was using tool-wise, so pretty straightforward. Oh, fun. Finally. Okay, one other thing too, I just want to back up and check up on when I did the install for this too. Like I said, to figure out where the center was, or left and right, whatever. I just marked the nut and watch it go back and forth, try to figure out where it was. And then the splines on this are really small, so you want to try to get it right away. So I punched this on. I was a little off because it was overhanging on the edge, going a little down further. In my case, I'm about an inch up on either side when it swings back and forth. And I'm also getting a good overhang over here too. I'm not sure if that is normal yet. I'm going to compare that to some other guys I know that have this and see if it does come over on theirs the same way. So it's pretty easy. Whatever, put the wiper on. Nothing special, but in this case too, you got to. There's supposed to be a template they gave me, but I didn't get that template either. So I went to the center of this here, and I just literally cut pretty much a straight angle into the middle and straight this way, and just rounded it out, and then just. I haven't filed it off right now, but I just need a little file. It'll be nice and smooth. That gives the room for the wiper to move back and forth. So it's basically from where this came across, you're basically about 1.5 inches back to here. So if you mark it there up to the center, cut into it both ways. Then I just filed it out, rounded it out a little bit. So one other thing too is the install of the window. Like I had my roof off. Move over here where the lights are not quite in the way, but I had the roof off already, so I had lots of room to get this window on. I didn't have any of this in the way at the time. Up here it was just open, which is nice. So this has a clamping system. There's no bolts or anything that come with this window. It literally just kind of centers itself on. You'll feel it. You'll kind of just push on this here before you even put the clamp on the back, and you'll feel it clump into the roll cage on both sides. Mine was a little snug, so I did one first. The key is that this window trim comes to here, and on the inside, as you can see, it does the same thing. So it's basically like a semicircle on here over the roll cage, and then this clamp, one is flat across here, and then on the bottoms they're actually kind of cut on an angle. It's really hard to see, but the angles go up towards the inside just because of the way it raises. Now the other key is on the outside, you know when these clamps are lined up or not, because they kind of hook into each other. So there's a divot. Trying to get this camera to focus here. Got lots of glare and stuff, but so there's a divot there. You'll be lined up with the top divot when you're not locked. And then you gotta push this thing down to the second divot. So there's the first, push it down so the second set lines up. That means you are locked in there. So like you can tell that this is angled, right? These guys are just straight around across. So that's it. There's a left and a right of that. That's it. You want your clamps to go to the inside as well. Right, so if you're looking straight at it there, like I said, it's a straight cut. These ones are angled down there. And your clamps here, this is what you'll do to release it, but these are what hold these clamps from sliding back and forth, up and down when this locks in. So it's just a spring-loaded little clamp, but that's it. There's nothing really else to the window. Once this clamp is done on each side, this whole window is suction tight. It's weather stripped up there. I don't have weather stripping in between up here, but didn't notice that a whole lot going through there anyways. I might actually stuff some up there now that I think about it. So yeah, that is about it for the window, the windshield wiper. Anything else? I mean, I kind of missed this part where I drilled there's the little divot there where the wiper motor goes, and it's a 3/4 inch hole you're going to drill through there. It's got a little divot pre-done for it. Those two bolts that were across is where the bracket goes on. That's really clear on the BRP instructions how to do that. That's easy to see. And yeah, that's it. Once that's bolted through and your wiper's set, your window goes on. The window, honestly, was like, I don't know if it was even 5 minutes, or it popped on pretty quick. Okay, we're getting close to putting the tracks on. We got the window on, we got the windshield wiper on, the motor going, all that stuff. The electronics are all in, the both seats are back in. Looks like lots is going on here. It's just like I say, that front clip, like laying over there, it goes on, 5-10 minutes. So before we do that, put the front clip on. That'll be probably the last thing I do, because I'm actually gonna rip this outside and soak her down. We're out in I know it's cold where we're going and stuff, but sometimes you get blocked in and stuff like that, and you overheat with all the snow. It kind of insulates and traps. So I'm gonna clean that out, but just pulled this one shock off here, and I believe I got enough room to slip in this funky box here. We should be able to wrestle this in. Maybe not. It's quite the big rubber ducky here. I wonder with my shock tower here actually how it's gonna sit. Well, looks like I'm gonna need both hands free to do this, but I'm gonna try to get this in with just the one shock removed up top here and leaning over to the side. Some people said they just do the drivers, some people just the passengers, some people both. It says to in the BRP instructions to fully remove the passenger on the top of the driver, but I'm just doing the top of the driver here and gonna see how it rolls in there. I think having the whole clip off up front makes a big difference too, makes it a lot easier. So let's give her a go. Okay, so news flash for all the people that got the extra shock towers. It all depends on which brand and whatnot. But basically what's happened here is this is on the top as well as an extension, right? And then your lid's up on top. That's where you fill, which comes up right up top here. But this, with the shock towers, it closes it in so much that now you just can't angle the whole system back and get this in there. It's rammed in. You'll never get the lid off. But in my case, what I'm going to do, I'm going to zip this off right here so I can still get my center mount right there. I don't even know if I can get that though, because my other big issue is even without that, if you look at my center hole, like I'm 1.5 inches down that I still need to go. Same with all these holes down there. They're supposed to go where these rivets are. So what I'm facing here, it's not that there's not enough room. There's tons of room to get it in, slide her in or out. That's no problem. What I'm hitting though is where all these wires and harnesses and everything is coming through here. So they go into the cabin right there, and they're just all zap straps just to keep majority of all the water out and keep everything coming out in one place. But there's just not enough room. Even if you force it down, I don't want to force it down anymore and actually have it pop out. I want that all in there and sealed. So what I'm going to do is maybe what most of you might not have to do, I don't know, but I'm actually going to use those two side holes possibly for just drilling into just above where those rivets are and that. But what I'm going to do with this one is I'm just going to chop this off here. I'm not going to use the gooseneck, because when this is actually in there, sitting up there, if this wasn't in the way, believe it or not, just to fill, it's actually really easy here just to reach in and turn it off. It's not. It's actually going to sit up in a nicer spot when I get it all done. It's going to be really easy to get to. It's not going to be a big deal. So I don't know, rather than have a big funky knob up there anyways, it's kind of neat to have it concealed a bit. But so that was my issue. Everybody else might not have that. I just wanted to let everybody know ahead of time, if you do have like a shock tower brace and all that, it will change your clearances up top for everything to work. But I'll finish it this way and show you guys how I pin it and how easy it is to access it and not. Okay, so long story short, I did pop the other shock off too. Just centered it. It's so far off, and I don't want all the pressure on all this harness stuff. And like I say, this hole here is so far off of drilling off this hole. I'm just gonna leave that. Who cares if it's a rivet or what? I just put a stainless self-drilling screw in there. It's actually in better than a rivet would hold it anyway. So it's I can take it out pretty easy without drilling out rivets again and again and again. But it's in there. So like I said, the spout was just way too tight for me to get to. I can get to this super easy with my hand and open her up now. It's not difficult or tight squeeze. I still got the filter on there. So yeah, there you go. Pretty big cap to turn off anyway. So it's tucked away a little bit better rather than having a big ugly ass spout sticking out here anyway. So yeah, so that's all gone. That's all done now. So I just put in a screw on the two sides where they said use a rivet on either side. Just popped off the top of each shock and out to the side, and away it went. So next we are now going to hit these tracks and get the mounting hardware on.